see. Can I help you, honey? Uh-huh. Listen to what's talking. I don't have time to listen to all that foolishness. What do you want us to change? But we're not at liberty to do that. We're not ready to do that right now. I thought about it, but they're right here in town. People that work for.
He's wanting to fight and all that.
I've already told you.
Push the button. Just go click.
Honey, I'm getting a headache. I just don't know. Well, I know I got your information, but I like to get some more information. That's not enough. And honey, could you please hang up? Huh? Okay. Okay. Well, what'd BB say? Well, I don't want to pay anybody if I can get out of it, but there's no way to get out of it. They want you to pay. If they don't, they take you to jail. Listen, sweetie, can I be thinking about this? I gotta go take a nerve pill. I'm about half sick. And I thank you for calling, and I'll call and give them hell. Okay? Oh, don't want me to give them hell? Well, I don't know why I do it. It's just, I believe I'm being pestered by you all. I don't want to be pestered. Okay.
That's why I don't call her too much. She's rude.
Well, I tell you, my son's an attorney and he's a part owner. I'll give you to him when he comes in, and that'll help you along. Okay. Yeah, that's what I need. I need Jimmy to come along and explain it. We just don't know. Sometimes women need a man to kind of help us along. Well, I thank you for calling then, sweetie pie. Same to you. Goodbye. Bye. Goodbye. Goodbye. God. What's he want?
This is the woman that calls here every day. Every single day.
Okay. Lois. Cook, and she's a circulation manager. Takes care of all the subscriptions. There's not a whole lot in here to see, but you can come and see if you like. And these are our tables where they make up their ads and try to get the paper out on time. And old-fashioned waxer, which we don't use much anymore, a thing of the past. And now if you want to start, this is Becca, my daughter, and she's standing up to lose weight. And she makes up ads, gives orders, things like that. And this is Ashley. She doesn't give orders, she sets type.
Yeah, I just sit here.
And works hard. And this is, where is Ronnie? Ronnie sits here and tries to manage BB, if he can. And this is BB, another daughter, and she is always giving the orders. And I jump when she says jump. I usually ask her, how tall does she want me to jump? And now, I will jump on to something else. The back shop. And that's what it is. Everything is pitched right back here. Those are the old files, old books, old typewriters that we don't use anymore that were awful nice. And that's Mary Ann knocking me down. And the only thing I know that I should tell you, these are all the old files. I hope we don't have a fire. And then the main thing is, this has been a family newspaper for way over 60 years, because I've been here 60. And then I guess one of the nicest things that ever happened is that the Bourbon County Fair catalog was dedicated to me a couple of years ago. Then I had a sick spell, Then, well, before that, the Rotary Club gave me an award, which is one of the highest awards that the Rotary Club gives to a person who is not a Rotarian. And I was real happy. I've got that in my obituary. I was real happy to have it. The paper has been in continuous publication. It's the only paper family owned in the state of Kentucky. There are a few others in the United States, maybe 6 or 7, not very many. But this is an old established family, and it is a family, if you know what families do, and they do it. Established in 1807. I came in 1809, and I feel like it. And so, I think this...
It's been in continuous operation since.
Never missed. We don't have any modern things that you have, Nowadays they have wires coming in. We don't do all that. This is just for the people. Larry used to say, it's the people's paper. They come down and they got a yard sale or a hog they want to sell or something they want to give away. They put it in paper. And we're right here to wait on them. And that's all we do, is wait on the people. And, Ronnie,
Yes.
I'll see you.
All right.
I'm getting away from it.
My name is Jimmy Brandon. I'm the editor of the paper and been serving here in that capacity for a while, and have worked in the paper for a number of years, since basically as a kid, like all of us have. And as far as interesting stories that I've had over the years, probably one of the most interesting was I was a witness to the state's first lethal injection execution. And each the newspapers around the state gets picked, and I think there's 3 of them, and I was one of the 3 people that actually served as the official witness to this execution. And I had written an article about it. Of course, I did the official stuff with it, but I also gave the kind of a story about my emotions going down to Eddyville, where the death penalty, where the death row is, and how that affected me. And so that article was kind of different, was well received. Talked a lot about just your emotions of going through that kind of unusual circumstance. Another article that I'd written at some point was about my son who had died of cancer. And within a few weeks of the article being published, there was just slews of people sending in money for this dog park, which ultimately was built in honor of him. And I think it showed how much the paper had meant to the community, because it wasn't such a great journalism effort on my part, but I think the community really got behind it. And I think maybe that's what sums up my whole thing. I'm also an attorney, so I have another job outside the office, but I think what sums up my whole thing about the paper reminds me of a line from the famous movie It's a Wonderful Life. And it kind of reminds you of the Old Bailey Building and Loan. George Bailey didn't want to hang around to work in the Old Bailey Building and Loan, and wanted to go and do something important, build skyscrapers, build things. And there was one discussion he had with his dad, and his dad said, well, George, I think in a way we feel like we are doing something important here. And I think that the people here feel like that they're a part of the newspaper. They actually feel like they own a part of it, kind of like that Old Bailey Building and Loan. They really feel like they have a stock in the newspaper. So I think that really sums up a lot of what's made the paper successful over the last generation or so. But I think the age of it, being here since 1807 and being in the same family for a long time, and of course my mother being here, as she says, since 1807 herself, has been a large part of it. But I think at least during the time that our families had it, we've tried to have a little bit of humility about it too, and treat people right, and I think that's been probably one of the high points in terms of success of the paper.
My name is B.B. Brandon. I have been here at the paper since 1973. My daddy worked here then, and Mama, and my younger sister Suzanne was here. When I first came here in 73, I was the advertising manager. And I got out every day and sold ads to all the local businesses. Plus I would go to the surrounding towns and sell ads. It seemed like the paper, we only had one paper then, the Advertiser, started doing a whole lot better, thanks to me. But we actually ran out 2 papers in a short time The first one was the Paris Daily Enterprise. They couldn't compete because we were getting all the ads. And the second paper that we ran out was the Bourbon Times. So after that, we became the only newspaper in Paris. And then we started the Bourbon County Citizen, which is a paid circulation newspaper. So then we had the Citizen and the Advertiser, which we do now. I'm still advertising manager, but I'm also, I make up ads, I do the page layout, I read proof when my eyes aren't bothering me. I need to have surgery because they're sagging. But I help with the billing. One of the most recent that happened, we had a gentleman come in up front who said he knew our family. He was a scroungy kind of looking guy. And he sat up front and talked to Mama forever and ever. And then he said he remembered me. He knew my brother, Jimmy. He looked really bad and smelt bad, too. But anyway, he left, and it wasn't long. 2 or 3 police officers came rushing in and took me to the back shop. And they said the guy had just murdered a dermatologist in Lexington, and that he got the gun from the pawn shop down here at the corner. And that was really exciting. I mean, we didn't know that we were talking to a murderer. It was kind of scary. I mean, you know, the guy had been in here for an hour or two chit-chatting with Mama, and the police were like all over the place trying to find out what he was saying, what did he talk about. And he's still on trial for the murder of this lady dermatologist in Lexington, but that was a very exciting day. When I'm not at work, I like gardening. I have flower gardens all around my house. I like antiques, antique furniture. I used to collect arrowheads, but nowadays nobody plows up fields since people don't raise tobacco anymore. I do collect all kinds of antiques. I've got antique furniture and antique dolls and about 100 sets of salt and pepper shakers and iron skillets. There went an iron skillet. I also like listening to music. I don't like TV much. There's not much good on, but there's plenty good on NBC. It's really different to work for a family newspaper because there's so many personalities. You know, my sister gets mad over nothing, and Mama gets mad, and then, you know, sometimes you don't speak for a day or two, then they get over it. You just have to back off and stay away. And then after a while, something new comes along, so you never know who's going to get mad at a certain given time. Just be prepared.
My name is Rebecca Brannon, lawyer. I am the oldest daughter of Genevieve and the late Larry Brannon, and they call me Becca here. I've worked at the paper since '87, but prior to that, before I went to college and got married, I worked down here as a little girl, rolling papers and doing menial tasks, some story writing, before I left for college. At the paper today, I do a lot of the graphic arts that Ronnie doesn't take away from me. He gets all the good ads. But in the past, I feel like I'm a gopher and I fill in for people. Over the years, I've done darkroom. I've sold some ads. I've collected on past due accounts. I've fixed machines. I buy toilet paper at the dollar store and paper cups and plates. They send me out to do little things that nobody else wants to do, like van repair, things like that. When I left here in '72, I went to college, got a degree in journalism and art, married, had 4 kids, went to work for a bigger newspaper, and upon a divorce in '87, I moved back home, and thankfully there was a position opening in the darkroom, so I did darkroom tech stuff. Well, Daddy one day came up and said, you need to help out more in the front office. So one of the things he had me do was go take a picture of a guy with a big tomato. And I just thought that was the most ridiculous thing, that was not what journalism was about. I'd been to school for 4 or 5 years, and I knew that that was not what journalism was. You do not go out and take a picture of somebody with a big tomato. But I did it anyway. So I drove down Cypress Street to where the poor section was, and in this little shotgun house was where this man supposedly had the big red tomato. So I knocked on the door, and this feeble old man came to the door, and I said, "I'm here from the paper to take a picture of your big tomato." Well, you would have thought he had seen the Lord. He lit up. He was so ecstatic to see somebody to come and do this story on a big tomato. So I kind of lightened up a little bit. He shuffled around the side, and I followed him along with my camera. We came around the back of his house, and there was this vine growing all over the back of his house. It was pulling down the shutters. It was just a big mess. But that was a tomato plant, and the story was a tomato plant, a vine that he had nurtured and cared for all summer long that had produced these huge tomatoes, but the vine was kind of the big deal, I suppose, to him. So I took the picture and everything. Long story short, it taught me to change my attitude. The philosophy of the paper is that it's a people's paper. And it's not, the issue may be flood control, if you pardon the pun, but the story is Noah. And that was something I learned, and I got over the idea of being a fanatic about what's right and what's wrong. Every newspaper is probably different, but for us, that was, we are the people's paper, and the people come first. What I do when I'm not at work, I have a garden, I go fishing, I go kayaking, I sew, I don't like to cook. I play musical instruments. I'm not very good, but I really would like to learn to play accordion. I play clarinet and banjo and guitar and piano. Did I say garden? Did I say garden? Yes, I love to garden now this time of year. But anyway, that's kind of what, I've got animals. I got chickens in my backyard. So I'm more busy at home than I am at work.
My name is Ronald Ernst. People call me Ronnie. I'm a graphic designer at the Citizen. I write stories and just an all-around great person. What I enjoy most about working at the Advertiser is that it's a family-owned business, so there's not a lot of rules and regulation. It's a relaxed environment, and you get to meet a lot of people in the community. And sometimes they buy you lunch. When I'm not working at the Advertiser, I like to volunteer. I'm vice president of the Kiwanis Club here in town. I play lead guitar with my band Radio Lair. I like to make designs for fashion purposes. When you work at the paper, everyone seems to think that you know what's going on, and they want you to put everything about them in the paper, and it just doesn't really work that way. So that's interesting.
My name is Ashley Billman, and I'm the typesetter here at the Bourbon County Citizen. My job includes typing a lot. On Thursdays, I go to the courthouse and I get marriages and deeds and the court docket. Get to see who's been bad that week. What I like most about working here is the small family atmosphere that you get from it. It's a real small group. Everybody's very humble and inviting. Got little spitfires everywhere, but it just makes the job even more interesting. While working here, you get to see every walk of life come in. People from everywhere come in. You know, out of town, people just stop in because we're the paper. You get to hear a lot of interesting stories. What I like to do when I'm not at work, I have another job. I work at Ken's New Market, their gas station. They're also family owned, really small little group, good atmosphere. I like to go with my parents on the weekends. We yard sell and flea market and bargain shop and, well, treasure hunt, as I like to call it. I like to hang out with my friends and my boyfriend. We like to get outdoors and just do activities. The most interesting stories that I've covered since I've worked here has been at the fair. We get to go there and take pictures and cover the beauty pageants and the kids' activities that they do, like greased pig and mutton busting and stuff like that. It's really fun.
Hey, this is Ivan K. Rice, and they call me the Doctor of Sports. I'm sitting here at the Bourbon County Citizen. After coming back from a spring football game and baseball game, normally I don't come down here at nighttime because it's kind of spooky in here. This building's been around for a long time, and I got spooked in here a couple of times too. But right now I'm just here chilling, and I'm trying to do the best I can as I try to cover sports in this community of Paris and Bourbon County. But I've been doing it for 27 years, and I really do enjoy myself. I'm throwing this L up because my team, in which I love, the Louisville Cardinals, won the NCAA championship this year. Nobody else in this newspaper likes Louisville. They all Kentucky fans. That's their fault. The only time I come to the newspaper, when they have a Christmas party, when they have a birthday party, when they have my birthday party, which is my 50th birthday coming up, so I definitely don't want to come that day. And then the only time I come to the newspaper is on a Sunday. I kind of miss my Sunday talks with Genevieve, because every Sunday I come down here, her and I will have a lifelong talk, but I miss those times. Back in the days, I used to enjoy working here because I like the mess. Then everything that went to this all high-tech computers and all this crap. I don't like none of that. I like the old school days when you had the wax machines and you actually put the paper together, when you went over there where my workstation was at, and all that stuff had just smashed around. Nobody knew what was going on, and then all of a sudden it just comes together. That was special. Back in the days, I used to enjoy working here because I like the mess. Then everything that went to this all high-tech computers and all this crap. I don't like none of that. I like the old school days when you had the wax machines and you actually put the paper together, when you went over there where my workstation was at, and all that stuff had just smashed around. Nobody knew what was going on, and then all of a sudden it just comes together. That was special. But as far as what I like the most at the paper is probably the food. What do I enjoy most when I'm not at work? Sports. That's what I do. I'm the sports doctor. I like watching sports. I love watching the Louisville Cardinals. I love cheering against Kentucky. I just love sports. That's who I am. That's who I became, and that's who I'm going to always be, is sports. I'm going to always be the Doctor of Sports. That name was original because the name came back in 1977. People stole the Doctor of Sports because I had that name first, and I got proof. Y'all want to know about the rat story here at the Bourbon County Citizen. The Bourbon County Citizen apparently had a rat here that's been here since the building's been here. And I was witness to that rat when I used to work here late at nights before everything got changed over. I was sitting here at this desk where I'm at right now. Obviously it was not this high up. You know, I did not stand to do none of this. I was sitting down, and I would come here every night to do my sports. Every night I would sit here and type throughout the night. It'd be 1 or 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, one night it appeared to be awfully quiet, and I heard something in the back room, and it sounded like an animal. So I got up, stupid as I was, went back there to see. And obviously when I turned the lights on, nothing was there. So I'm sitting here and I'm doing my articles and writing my stories, and then next thing I know, I hear it again. Yeah, this has been like a week now, I hear it again. So it goes on about a month, and I don't see this rat, I don't hear this rat, and they done had people come in here and the rat's nowhere to be found. So one night I come in here, I'm sitting here, I'm typing again, and I hear it again in the back for the first time in a month. I said, oh my God, something's in here. And about that time I'm sitting here, I'm typing, and it runs right across there. It ran right there. And I mean, it was the biggest thing I ever seen in my life. And I looked, and it was huge, and it ran across there. So I just gradually got up and like, where did it go? And I started doing this as I was walking this way. But at the time, I didn't know it was a rat. I thought it was a big cat. Needless to say, I'm scared of both of them because I don't like cats, I don't like raccoons, and God knows I don't like rats. So I come back and I said, okay, maybe it was just a cat. I knew it was there, but no one believed me. It's like your story. It always happens when nobody's around. The only person that sees it is the person involved. So it seems like I'm the only one that sees it. So I was here one night, me and the girls that was working here, and they went home. I had to catch up on some things, and I had to tidy up. I'm typing it, and I see something on the corner of my eye, and I turned around, and it was right there, and it was looking at me. And I mean, it had the biggest face I ever seen in my life. I mean, it just sat there, looked at me. I got up and I ran on it. and then it came after me right here, and then back in my days when I could get up here, I jumped up on this table, I got out my cell phone, and I called Becca, and I said, I'm calling the police because there's a rat down here. And they said, oh, it's just a mountain. No, Becca, it's a rat, and this rat is about that big, and it's huge rat. It's a rat, and I'm not getting out of here until somebody come in here and get me out of here. And I was so scared. They brought people in here, and they couldn't find the rat because the rat wasn't nowhere to be found. And they thought I was just making up a story. And then about a week later, they give me a call and say, guess what? We found the rat. It's dead. And what did it look like? It was big. And then they put a picture of me and the rat in the paper, me holding it. The rat was about this long, and I was holding it. And everybody started talking about Ivan, that big rat. You thought that rat was my brother or something. I mean, it was the biggest thing in my life. I don't know how he died. I'm glad he died. But ever since that rat left here, I've never been back down here at nighttime. This is the first time I've been at this newspaper this long since the rat. And I'm glad I'm not back, because I'm scared, and I'm still scared today. That's why I don't come here and stay. That's my rat story, and I don't like it.
My name's Paul Gibson. I'm a retired executive from a national retail chain and moved to Paris several years ago to retire. One of the things that I've always enjoyed is community work and being a freelance writer and an amateur photographer. So working at the newspaper as a staff reporter fits right into the things I like to do. And it helps me to be more involved in the community. One of the reasons I like working for this newspaper is it's a family-owned and operated paper, and the family has a kind of a laid-back attitude about how we operate, and most of us who are not part of the family are really treated like family. So it's an enjoyable place to work. And as a freelance and staff reporter, one of the things that we do is we take our own do our own photography, which I like, and we also, for example, I might receive an assignment or two during the week to cover, but most of my stories I go out and find for myself. So if you're a little bit nosy and you like to find out what's going on in the community, being a staff reporter is a great thing to do. I like the variety of what we do. I like the variety of being able to write about different things. One day I might be at the courthouse doing a story on a criminal proceeding. The next day I might be working at the city hall at a city meeting where the discussion is about some important issue that voters are interested in, like power, electric power, budget, and so forth. And then there are a lot of human interest stories that I might find myself doing. This is Derby season, and in the last week or so I've written 2 or 3 feature stories about local horses that are going to be in the Derby, and those horses were bred and raised here on farms in Bourbon County. So there's a wide variety of things that you're able to do, and that makes it all the more fun. I guess in a small town like this, there are not a lot of wild and crazy things that happen, but one thing I remember is that during the Great Flood we had several years ago, there were a lot of really interesting and wild rescue stories that we did. People being rescued from their homes and boats and carried out, and we had a very huge flood here, and a lot of homes were destroyed, but we were able to, all the lives were saved, and the first responders did a great job, and we were able to cover that. And it was pretty exciting, really, to be a part of that whole operation. Being retired, I also have a lot of other outside interests, and I have a small horse farm here. That was one of the reasons we moved here. This is the thoroughbred capital of the world, and horses are king here in Bourbon County, and so we moved here. I bought a small farm where I board some horses, have some horses of my own, and that keeps me pretty busy as a sideline, working there and doing some traveling on other free time. My wife and I do like to travel some, and we do that as we can. But mostly it's working at the horse farm, taking care of local business.
I'm Jill McKenzie, and I do media relations for the schools. Each week the newspaper has a full page of school news, and it's my job to submit this to the paper. I also cover the sporting events, and I give them to Ivan, Doctor of Sports. Ivan and I spend most of our time arguing and complaining, but we have a great working relationship too. The Citizen is a really neat place. It's very quaint and unusual, and the Brannons are a special group of people. They support their community, and they are very loving and caring people. I don't think you'll find another place like the Citizen-Advertiser. It's like stepping back in time. Someone told me when I first started working here that it was run by an 80-year-old woman and her 2 menopausal daughters. And they're great little people, but they're also a lot of fun. The people at the paper are like family to me now, and I come down here once a week to see Miss Brannon on Wednesday to pick up the paper, and we sit and talk and have a big time.
Well, it's real nice being the only newspaper and a family newspaper for 60 years. A lot of pleasure, a lot of friends, a few heartbreaks, but it's really worthwhile. And I've enjoyed every minute of it, except a few that we won't mention.